Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I think the levels are all fine, but let me know if you can't. So this is going to be a little bit of a surprise evening stream. I've got some work to do, so figured I would just open up the stream and bring you guys along. Let me get my editor settings in good shape here. All right, so before I get into it, I want to say hello, everybody. Hello, Aniki. Welcome to the weekend stream. Good to see you again. Hello, Kuro Kaiden X. It's Firebelly. It is indeed. Welcome. Hello, Turn RP. You did make it. I can hear you. Excellent. Okay, great. All right, so before I get into it, I'd like to once again remind you, I mean, how many people are tired of hearing this, but it's useful for context to do these advertisements just in case there's new people stumbling across the VODs who like what I'm doing. So if you're interested in supporting my work, I've got a number of ways you could support me down in the description below. As you can see, that just popped up below right there. You can get my grid-based course. How do I do this? My video is mirrored. Oh, anyway. Down there, the banner, I've got the grid-based C# course for Godot. I've also got a Vampire Survivors GD script course, so you could pick up one of those courses if you're interested. And then all the rest of the ways you can support my work are linked in the description below, so please check that out. And with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and do some work here. So for context, yesterday was it yesterday's stream? Yesterday's stream, I made a change to how the gun parts work in this game. So now every gun part is going to have what I'm calling an innate rune or innate affix. Those things are going to be used interchangeably, those terms. And an innate affix basically does exactly what it says. There's going to be a rune that is attached to that gun part that cannot be removed or replaced. So you're always going to have some rune coming from a gun part. And then in addition, you're going to have your rune inventory that you can collect here. So to facilitate this change, I've been working on the UI here. And the big thing is that this runes now, instead of being a large text box with, new inventory down here, now all the runes are just showing up here. So these 3 runes right here, I'm not marking them currently. I have to do some UI work still, so this is very work in progress, but these 3 runes right here are innate runes because this is a fully assembled Moss weapon, and all of the Moss gun parts have the poison innate rune. So that means you've got 3 poison runes here, and these all add up to create 3 poison stacks on hit. But of course, I can get additional rune slots. So if I were to drag over this oil receiver, what you'll notice is that I can drag the oil receiver over onto the gun here, and that's going to swap out one of the oil stacks here, or one of the poison stacks, because now I've got the oil receiver and that has oil on it. But then I also got this additional rune slot here, which hasn't been updated. There's all kinds of problems. But I can then drag over any additional runes that I might want over onto that gun, and now I've got 4 runes in effect. So the rune slots are now functioning as basically like additional rune slots that you can get. So I could get 2 like this, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of problems here, quite a few bugs, and because it's all work in progress, I'm like in the middle of a very big refactor to a lot of my systems pertaining to this. So that's kind of why everything's wonky, but that's going to be the focus of the stream, is I'm just going to continue on in this refactoring, and I think it's going to be really fun. So that's what's going on. And yeah, let's get right into it. But first, let's catch up on the chat. Hello, Kuro Kaiden. I already said hello to you, so you're not getting hello again, but you say, I hope you start a 2.5D course soon. I would buy it immediately, hopefully in the future. Yes, I would love to make courses again, but they're very time consuming, and every decision I make that I'm on a limited budget has to be a decision that's made very carefully. So, hello, Aniran, or Anaran. Came to learn about this channel from your Udemy C# course. Well, awesome. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad that you caught the live stream. And yeah, it's just going to be basically a game dev stream. Come hang out work on your own stuff, I'm also available if you want to ask questions. I can, I'm very happy to answer those. I like this a lot better, this system. Yeah, it's working well. Do matching runes on different parts stack, or are innate runes part specific so they will never double up? Do matching runes on different parts stack? Yeah, so a rune is a rune. So if there's an innate rune that is poison and then you slap a poison onto it, they're all poison. So they're all treated the same. They will stack together. Innate runes are not like separate, you know, effects or something. 3D isometric Godot courses seem to be a bit limited. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of Godot course content out there. Kind of amazed how much longer that one is taken compared to some others I had taken before. Oh, the C# course. Yeah, I mean that course is like what, 20 hours of lectures or something, 20 hours of video content. It's a long one. Maybe community vote to see how many viewers are interested. Yeah, I mean the problem with that is that it's not necessarily my viewers that are the target audience for my Udemy courses. They're a chunk of it, but not necessarily. Oh, the second Aniran is the correct pronunciation. Okay. Or Aniran. I'll say whatever one you like. I mean, I'm probably gonna forget if I'm honest, but maybe I won't. Okay. So admittedly, I don't really remember where I left off. I should have done some planning. Oh yeah, so I have this to-do note here. Oh, to-do notes for the win, right? So I need to make the available rune inventory grid purely responsive, right? Okay, so the entire goal of the refactoring that I've been doing is I was committing a big no-no, and I was having UI elements storing logic. So for instance, this Gunforged UI here, which is what's powering this screen, it was doing a lot of game logic in response to various UI events. Now, some of that can't be avoided, but specifically when I was getting into managing rune inventories for gun parts and for the player rune inventory, it was getting quite messy. So what I've done is I've moved in a direction where now I've got separate logical managers that are purely responsible for the logical portion of things, and those managers emit signals that the UI then responds to. So the UI is basically just handling input, and then based on the input telling, for instance, this player gun model manager what ought to change, and then the model manager is making all of the relevant data structure and logical changes to the game, which is then notified to the rest of the UI so that the UI can respond to that change. So that's not what I was doing before, because again, this Gunforged UI has gone through many iterations and it just got messier and messier over time. So, but now I'm sort of fixing it. So as I mentioned, this player gun model manager, this is responsible for basically storing the gun affix inventories. So, and providing operations to modify those gun affix inventories. So what an affix is a rune. So basically when I go in here, this is an affix inventory here, and this is an affix inventory, and this is not an affix inventory. So it's still a separate thing, but I'm going to try to unify this here and make this UI responsive. So basically when I go and I drag and drop, let's see. When I go and drag and drop a rune over onto that slot, what's happening is that player gun model manager is being told, hey, I want to insert this gun affix at this slot in the rune inventory. The gun model manager does all of the operations that are necessary to achieve that, including modifying any of the gun parts that need to be modified in order to make that happen. And then it emits a signal that says, okay, my inventory is now up to date. And what happens is that this item here, this assembled gun ingot is what I call it, it responds to that update and then makes sure to refresh the visuals of the inventory so that it's in sync with the logical inventory, I guess you could say. So I need to do that for this over here because this is still being problematic. And that's going to be the next goal here. So let's see. Need to make available rune inventory grid purely responsive to the player rune inventory. So let's go ahead and figure out where this is going wrong. So this available rune inventory grid, inventory slot mouse entered, that's fine, that's fine. So where is this all being used? Add affix to available affix grid. What I find is useful is I identify a function that I know is problematic, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, this is doing logic in here, so it's adding affixes to the rune. This is all bad. So what I do is I just delete that method and I let the script break. Oh wait, that wasn't being used anywhere. All right. Sync available affixes though, this is definitely a problematic one, as you could probably tell. So we're gonna get rid of that one. And then also this update available affix grid capacity, we're gonna remove that as well. Update available affix warnings, that's still fine because that's a purely UI indicator, so we can get rid of that, or we could keep that rather. Initialize available affix grid, again, this is something that I just think is like, this is probably problematic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove that as well. So even though I'm not entirely sure in what ways this is going to break, what I'm given now is all of the places essentially that I need to change. And I'm kind of forced to go a different direction now because I've outright deleted those things and the problematic code. So I think what I'll do is I'll start by getting rid of those problematic lines here. We're basically just going to break it and then we're going to fix it. Initialize available affix grid, we'll just comment that out. Okay. So what I need to look at is this player rune inventory manager here. There's already an inventory manager here, but I'm really curious. I wonder if I should rework this. I heard a noise. It was the cat eating. Hello, Snow Hornet. Welcome back to the stream. This C# course is the first time I've seen someone focus on refactoring as the code goes on. Part of me worries that I need to keep looking back or might forget something. Yeah, so the refactoring was an intentional decision. I like to include the refactoring in the courses because the goal of the courses that I make is to show you what the realistic process of making a game looks like. And the realistic process of making a game involves lots of incremental improvements. I think where my personal opinion is where a lot of courses and tutorials go wrong is that they just implement the correct solution or the final solution immediately. And that leaves students wondering, how in the world did they come up with this? But I think it's more appropriate to show like, no, the process is iterative. Whatever your ultimate solution is going to be, is likely the product of many rounds of iteration and refactoring, and not necessarily written correct and perfect from the start. So that's very intentional. I don't know if maybe you don't like that or not, but that's certainly an intentional part of the course. Hello, Ron Enga. Why C# for game dev and not Python like others? I want to hear why, thanks. Thoughts on languages, Python? I mean, I think you should use whatever language you are going to be most comfortable with in creating a game. The thing is, like, I like Godot, and there's not like a officially supported Python scripting language, or Python support for Godot. Python support for scripting in Godot. And so that's just not an option to me. If there was another engine that I really liked and it was only Python, then I would probably use Python. Mostly my decision comes down to the tool that I'm going to use. I like Godot the best. Godot offers me GDScript or C#, and I chose C# for personal reasons, and that's it. But yeah, you can make a game in any language, so I don't think the language is really a problem. It's more so like, what are the tools you're using with that language? Godot had some problems with Python integration. Don't take my word for it though. Yeah, any Python binding would be a community contribution, like a third-party community contribution, and not something that's officially supported. So I would not be surprised if there were lots of problems with it. Your code is beautiful, thank you. I keep making types. I'm so tired. typos. I'm so tired. I'm on a horrible schedule. Gotta get to sleep at a better time tonight. Yeah. So that's fine. No worries. Everyone's allowed to make typos. How does making a game and seeing it come to life from just idea to something playable? From just an idea to something playable that eventually others will play. I mean, it's a very rewarding experience, I would say. You have to have a lot of patience. It challenges you in a lot of ways, not just in terms of like, I mean, it's like game development. So I used to be for those that don't know, I guess I could still consider myself a software engineer. That's what I did for my salary for a number of years. And game development is like the most challenging application of my skills, because the thing about software engineering, when you're building like modern software, I was building SaaS apps, is that there's not really a whole lot that's challenging. Most of the challenge comes around how do we architect the cloud infrastructure in a cost-effective way because we're on a budget, right? Or how do we store this massive amount of data most efficiently? Those kind of problems are not super difficult to resolve. They're mostly just questions of trade-off. But with game development, like, I'm actually challenged in terms of like algorithms, because there's a lot of like whether you're talking about pathfinding or you know, movement on a hex-based grid or something, highlighting a circle on a grid. Like, there are algorithms that are very challenging that you don't encounter. So pushing yourself to learn those things, but also like doing all the art for my game is a huge challenge too. And then doing the marketing and making the YouTube videos. So it's like this multi-domain challenge that's really interesting and really engaging, but also takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So, but to answer your question, it feels good. It's just one of those things where you have to be in it for the long term. Otherwise, you'll never finish anything. Good evening, Brekheck. Welcome. I tried Godot. I'm more of a Unity user. I think I'm just used to Unity probably. Yeah, that's fine. You should use whatever tools you are most comfortable with. The goal is to make games, not to be an ideologue for any particular engine. Okay, so anyway. So in this player rune inventory manager, let's see what I got going on here. So I'm listening for this in a couple of places. Inventory updated. Yeah, I don't actually have this in a lot of places. So I think I could probably do a pretty significant refactor here if I needed to. Let's see, rune added event handler. Where is that being used? Oh, rune added. Is this never being used anywhere? This is never being used. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of signals that aren't being used. Okay. Inventory capacity exceeded. Okay, so this is not being used. There's no point in cluttering up these signals if I'm not using them. So inventory updated is actually going to be the most important one. So we can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Get max size. Okay, this is actually looking fine. I'm going to change this. Well, let's see. Inventory updated, add affix. So what I need, the thing that this is lacking a concept of inventory slots. And that was what's creating a lot of confusion. So my UI has inventory slots, but then this logical representation of the inventory does not have a concept of slots. Like whenever I add an affix, it's just being added to the end of the list. So I don't really have a concept of some elements of this list being null, which I would need if I was doing something more akin to a real inventory. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna modify it so that it has more of like an inventory structure where I can insert items at particular indices in the inventory. Now the problem, well, one of the problems is that, oh, this is going to be tough. So one of the problems is that the player inventory, the rune inventory can grow past its max size. And all that means is that any rune that exists when you start the next wave that exceeds the max size of the inventory will just be sold. So there is an argument to be made for keeping like a flattened list with no null gaps, because then it's very easy to just say, okay, anything after this index needs to be sold. Now I mean, that's not a hard problem to work around, but it's just making me second guess whether I want to do that. I think I do need to do that, because if this is going to be the logical representation of the inventory and I just want the UI to purely respond to it, then I'm going to need to have that. So what I'm going to do is, and we'll just deal with any issues that come up. I'm actually going to change this to an array. Hold on a second. Okay, so current affix count this here. This is going to be affixes.length. Well, this actually is not going to be. Now the question is, do I want to maintain a flattened array in conjunction with? Okay, yeah, maybe I'll do that. So here's what I'll do. I'll call this affix inventory. And again, an affix is a rune. They're just used interchangeably. Private read-only list gun part affix flattened inventory. I don't know if flattened is actually the correct word there, but okay. So when I add affix, I want to change this to add affix at slot. And then I will have another one that's just public void add affix at next empty slot. Which I probably shouldn't write this yet, but I'll just stub it out in case I need it. Yeah, I'll just stub it in case I need it. Add affix at slot, so I need to have an int slot index. So I should probably do some defensive programming here. If slot index is greater than or equal to affix inventory dot length logger dot error, whoops. Slot index out of bounds. Okay, so affix inventory slot index is equal to affix. Now the question here is, what do I do with an affix that already existed there? That's a good question, and I'll have to handle that when I get to it. But maybe I'll just make a little note of that. Handle that was replaced. Add affixes. I don't know why this is here. Add affixes, affix options. Update test data. Okay, so I am going to need this one. Add affix at next empty slot. Well, this is going to be a little bit inefficient, but if I just write this in a very naive way, empty index is equal to, I'm just going to write this naively first, and then I'll fix it later. Affix inventory dot first find. How do I get the index? Is there no way for me to get the first index of something? Can I not get the first index? Doesn't look like it. Unless there's a way to do that with first. Does that return... Nope. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. I'll just do a for loop, I guess. Oh my goodness, I can't type today. Var I equals 0, I is less than affix inventory dot length, I plus plus. So the reason this is going to be a little bit inefficient is I'm just going to call this a bunch of times, but it's fine for now. Affix inventory I is equal to affix, but only if affix inventory I equals null. Otherwise, I probably need to expand, and I can break this here. I probably need to expand this. Var was added equals false. If not was added, we're gonna say affix inventory is equal to, what is it? We're gonna do equal to, we'll use a fancy spread operator, affix inventory, and then we're gonna add the affix here. A read-only field cannot be assigned to, well, that's dumb. We'll get rid of that read-only field, and then here, flattened inventory is equal to affix inventory dot where x is not equal to null dot toList. Oh, I guess I can just do this. I love that spread operator. I'm making good use of it. That's also read-only, so we'll get rid of that. So it's going to be inefficient because when I call add affixes here, I'm just going to do add affix at next empty slot. And it's just going to, if I have 3 affixes, it's going to basically run the for loop 3 times and reassign the flattened inventory 3 times. But it's like, it's going to be such a minor thing that I probably won't even address it, honestly. It won't be noticeable. Okay. I love how almost everything is custom in game dev. Web dev is getting more and more. Just use this library here, that one there. Yeah, it gets very samey because you're not really solving any novel problems. The problems you tend to have in like web dev and SaaS development is they're mostly like problems of time and scope. They're not really like challenging programming problems. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for the Node.js stuff. Cannot wait to play this game. Well, thank you. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Hello. What is that? Niffle differ? Hope that's not an insult in some language that I don't know. But what's being refactored is the rune inventory system. So basically just trying to get the runes to behave in a more logically coherent way under the hood so that I can actually breathe and not worry about my UI breaking every time I make a change. So that's what's going on. But really, this is just to make my life a lot easier as I continue to do work on this new gun part system. Okay, anyway, set affixes. Is this something that I still want? Is this being used somewhere? This is not being used somewhere, so I can get rid of that. I think I committed the grave sin of making methods before I needed them. Remove affix of type. What is, was I using all of this at some point? Here we go. Remove affixes. Oh, that's not even, okay. Now this one should be used. Remove excess affixes, yeah. Okay. So affix inventory dot length -1. Actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do my flattened inventory dot length dot count -1, current inventory size is base max size. Okay. I minus minus, flattened inventory dot remove at, removed count, emit signal, inventory updated, return removed count. Okay, so here I need to do this. Affix inventory is equal to flattened inventory. So I'm basically going to reset the inventory slots, because whenever this is called, it's basically selling the runes. So I'm just going to re-flatten this, or re-arrayitize this. That's a new word. Just re-arrayitize that. Okay. Get affixes. Do I need this still? Nope. We're just taking the axe to this code. We're just deleting stuff. Initialize. This one I probably do need. Add affix at next empty slot. That's fine. So this affix inventory now, this needs to be initialized. So let's see. Update inventory capacity. Is that being called? Yes. So update inventory capacity, current inventory size. So basically what I want to do is, okay. So we're gonna initialize this with a base max size, or new base max size. Is that, can I do that? Okay, we'll just initialize it like that. So there's at least something there. And now I need to figure out a way to expand that array. Update inventory capacity, so I need to do affix inventory. Can I expand this? Let me look it up real quick. How to extend arrays in C#. Array.resize. Oops. Can I just do that? Array.resize ref affix inventory to current inventory size. Is that gonna work? Let's see. So 5 means 5 elements, right? Yeah. All right. And that will be filled with default values, which should be null in this case. An array isn't resizable. What do you mean? I just did it right here. Okay, anyway. So, right. On meta upgrade added, on meta upgrade removed. Right. Oh, I do need to do the array resize here. Which is not realistically going to happen anytime you have an inventory. This will create a bug if I ever end up reducing the inventory size dynamically, but I think it's fine. Okay. I guess I should probably simplify this. I don't need both of these things to be repeated here. That'll work. Okay. Now the question is, have I done everything correctly? Probably not, but we're gonna see how it works. Okay, so it's not actually connected to anything yet. Let's see, remove excess affixes, inventory updated, add affix at next empty slot. This is not emitting the inventory updated, but that's probably fine. No, it's not fine. Is it fine? Oh my gosh. So let's do this. Bool suppress. if not suppress signal, emit signal, signal name dot inventory updated. Okay, and then here, I'm just gonna pass in suppress signal yes, and then I'll emit it here. So I'm not getting like 3 updates when I add 3. There's no reason to do that. I just need to emit the signal once, because that could present a performance problem if I'm refreshing the UI. So if I refresh the UI 3 times at the same time, that could be unideal. So I'm just gonna emit that once, and then here, I need to do try unlock affixes. I'll put that in there as well. Okay, so that unlock manager just needs to be called as well. I don't know why inventory updated should happen before that. I don't know, I probably just made a critical error, but that's all right. Alrighty, I think this class is more or less ready to be used now. So that was all the refactoring that was needed for the logical side of things. Now I actually need to get this working with the UI, but first I've got to fix some things in here. Add affix to next empty slot, that'll work. Add affix to next empty slot, and again, right, the problem is what happens if it's full and I want to add. I don't think I handled that. Okay. Flattened inventory. There's going to be some problems here related to this needs to be expanded if there is no empty slot. Oh wait, I did expand it here. Okay. This is expanding. Okay, yeah, that's fine. There's going to be problems that surface when I hook this up to the UI, but that's expected. So let's go ahead and go to the Gunforged UI now, and anywhere we've got this like available, I already deleted everything that's necessary for that. So except for this one, available rune inventory grid, inventory updated. On grid inventory updated, refresh equipped affixes, redistribute. Yeah, I don't want this. Why did I not get rid of this? Refresh equipped affixes. Gun manager, redistribute. That's not good. Inventory, get affixes. Sorry, I'm just trying to think about what. Okay, when in doubt, get the axe out. I may not even need this signal anymore with the refactoring I'm doing. I have no clue. We're just hacking a path through the jungle right now. Okay. Available rune inventory grid. Where is it? Inventory updated. Can probably keep all of these things here, but yeah, that's fine. All right. So now in order to make this sensible, I might just make this its own scene. Scrollable available rune inventory grid. Oh, it is its own scene. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well it already is its own scene, so why do I have editable children on? Let's turn that off. Okay, so now that this is already its own scene, so that's good. So what I'm essentially going to do in here now is hook up to this player rune inventory manager, listen to the signals that I need to listen to, and then have this be the UI that responds to those things. So that's the next stage of work that we need to do. Oh, I left that message on the screen for a very long time. Oh well. Played the demo today and loved it. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Just wanted more. Well, good. I'm making some good changes to the game too, the changes that are positive for the game. So hopefully you enjoy those as well, but thank you for playing. I very much appreciate that. Anyone want to play some web fishing later? Is that game fun? I've heard about it. Maybe they meant that the array isn't resizable since array resize creates a new array and copies the elements over. I think the doc said that. I gotcha, yeah. I gotcha. I trust the Stack Overflow people. All right, am I gonna leave a message on the screen for 20 minutes now? I gotta get more disciplined with getting those messages dismissed so they're not just hanging around. But anyway, so let's continue on with this now. So public override void ready var player equals this, or let's do this, var rune inventory manager. It's pretty cool. It captures the chill atmosphere from Animal Crossing. I have not played Animal Crossing. I'm not really a huge fan of chill games, honestly. I want my games to make me feel stressed and incompetent. No, I actually do like some chill games. I liked Stardew Valley a lot. What else have I played? Chill games. I don't know, does Balatro count as a chill game? I don't know. I haven't played Animal Crossing or anything. So is web fishing like, what do you do in the game? I haven't looked into it that hard. I knew it was like a social game, but what do you do in web fishing? Have you ever played Slime Rancher? I love that game. I have not played Slime Rancher. Okay, so we'll grab a reference to the Rune Inventory Manager. Rune Inventory Manager, !connect player rune inventory manager dot signal name dot inventory updated callable dot from on inventory updated. Okay, private void on inventory updated. It's just okay, lots of verbosity, but that's fine. I prefer verbosity over... What's the opposite of verbosity? Like succinctness, but I'm looking for another osity word. You scared me, cat. We got a cat joining us. Oh, she's trying to escape. There's no escape. How's the refactoring going? It's going well. It's long. I've spent hours today. I spent hours last night. I spent hours today doing the refactoring. There's a lot of systems that need this whole mess touches that I'm trying to untangle. It's going well though. It's looking very promising. I can see the light starting to poke through the ceiling. But yeah, it's really fun, and they are actively updating the second one, and it's really good so far. Interesting, okay. Yeah, it's like Animal Crossing fishing minigame, kind of. There's like a collection mechanic and progression with equipment and all that on top of the social aspect. I see, okay, so I can imagine how the game goes. So you start off catching a little dinky rainbow trout or whatever, and then you get better gear and better equipment, you catch bigger things, and you get more, social standing because you're catching the freaking swordfish. Yeah, that sounds cool. I'll have to check it out. Kitty, OMG, it's naked, yes. Yes, I have 2 naked cats. Those cats are so silly. They're the sweetest cats too. They are the sweetest cats. Does he need a sweater in the winter? That'd be super cute. I don't like putting clothes on my animals. It's just not something that I do. There are a lot of people who do put clothes on them, but I just keep my heat up in the winter. I mean, it's winter right now, so I've got the heat up relatively high, and they've got plenty of like really fluffy warm blankets and stuff too, so they they bury themselves underneath those, and they're fine. They do get a little bit chilly though, so they spend most of their time hogging the vents and whatnot. It's pretty funny. Oh, the inventory grid's already here. Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to do inventory grid.clear. And I believe all this does is this just sets all the affixes to null. Right. So we're going to clear the grid. So we're just basically refreshing the grid every time. We're going to do inventory grid.set capacity. This capacity is going to be equal to the, I guess I need a reference to the Rune Inventory Manager here. I guess I'm going to make this easier on myself. Okay, so now I can get this in here. Rune Inventory Manager dot how do I get the capacity here? Current affix count. Public int affix inventory size. Affix inventory that length. Affix inventory size. Okay, for var I is equal to, I guess I'm gonna have to have some way to get these affixes, huh? Get max size, is this being used anywhere? It is, okay. Remove access affixes. I think I need a way to get the affixes. Public. Get affix inventory. This is not, I'm not making this perfectly, but I'm just going to return affix inventory like so. For var I, so var affix inventory is equal to Rune Inventory Manager dot get affix inventory. Var I equals 0, I is less than affix inventory dot length I plus plus. Inventory grid dot set affix at slot affix inventory I. And I'll just do for safety purposes, if affix inventory I is equal to null, we'll just continue. Setting it to null shouldn't be a problem, but, and then this slot index here is going to be I. So anytime the Rune inventory is updated, it's going to refresh essentially this, this inventory here. So if I go to my Gunforged UI now, all of this, anything that's related to refreshing this inventory grid has now been removed. Scrollable, yes, okay. All right, okay. Let's see how broken it is. It's probably gonna fail to build. If I had to guess, I'm probably missing an update somewhere. Okay, we'll resolve those in a little bit here. They're so cute. Eventually you should make a kitty cam. Yeah, I gotta get all kinds. If I'm gonna do more streaming, I gotta get this. This room is ugly. I gotta get a better setup here. Get like a proper lighting and everything. But it's fine. What does scene do? Is that something custom you made? Yeah, that's a source generator. So anything that has the scene attribute, it basically is like a sentinel to mark that this is a file that needs to have source generation applied to it. And then all of these node things are basically saying there's a node in the scene tree that shares this name. So go ahead and locate the node with this name and then assign it to this member. And that all happens in this wire nodes, which I can look at. So this is the code that's generated. it looks like a lot, but basically what it does is it tries to, so for instance, this left assembled gun ingot, it basically tries to find a node with the name left assembled gun ingot, then it tries to find one with %, so it's a unique name, then it tries snake case, then it tries %snake case, then it tries the literal name of the member, and % literal name of the member, and then all lowercase, and then % all lowercase. And if all that fails, then it actually just tries to match the best that it can based on the node name. So it looks like a lot, but most of this logic doesn't ever kick in, so it's just the worst case scenario. It's just excess code, but this is, like, again, this is all generated code, so this is an algorithm that's generating all of it. Probably could be a little bit more efficient, but it's not that big of a deal, because again, it's assigning the node in like within the first two, usually the way that I'm using it. So yeah, it's just a nice helper method for me to not have to assign the nodes manually all the time. I was actually doing your course until I stumbled upon a bug with camera, I guess, because the tiles look weird. Oh, interesting. I'm happy to help if it's a issue specific to the course. If you want to use the course direct message functionality or the Q&A functionality, I do regularly check that. So if you want help, you can ask me there. At the end, what are you going to do with the runes and stuff? Yeah, so all the gun parts are going to have innate runes. I think I really like how that changes the game. How I go about making those innate runes more or less powerful or more or less important is still a question to be resolved, but I do like the direction it's going, so I'm keeping them. Okay. So let's go into here, player rune inventory manager, add rune, oh, this is the debug console to next, at next empty slot. Alrighty. I have no clue. This is probably going to break horrendously, so I have to figure out what's going on. I'm gonna have to redo the shop as well, but the whole reason I'm doing this is because I should be able to then unify the shop and all that stuff. Okay, my rune inventory is busted. It no longer shows up. No issues in the debugger. All right, so let's go ahead and do this then. My guess is this is probably never being called initially. Right, it shouldn't, yeah, it's not going to be called initially. So this update needs to happen first, so let's do this. Did I have too many? I've got too many there, okay. Do I need to call that deferred? I probably don't actually. Well, do I? I think I do. Yeah, I think I do. So we'll call that deferred there. I'm not even gonna run it in debug mode. I'm pretty sure that's gonna work. I'm not familiar with C#. What is rune inventory manager? Question mark. I mean, specifically the question mark syntax. That is the null chaining operator. Basically what that says is that says if rune inventory manager is null, do not continue with the rest of the statement. So it's just it's equivalent to saying if rune inventory manager is not equal to null, then rune inventory manager.connect. It's a much simpler way of just saying, oh, if rune inventory manager is null, just don't do any of this. It's very, very handy. I like the JavaScriptification of C# is great, if you ask me. Because JavaScript has all kinds of syntactic sugar that make it really fun to work with. Spread operators and null coalescing and null chaining and all that kind of stuff is just wonderful. Affix inventory size. Can I evaluate this? Through an exception of type null reference exception. Oh, that is null. Why is that null? Why? Oh, I guess it is null. Okay. So maybe I need to do this then? Oh, okay. Let's do this then. Callable.from init. I have a huge problem with like the initialization order of things, which is another problem that I don't really want to address, but okay. See if that works. I love that. That has helped me so much. Yeah. That sounds great. Yeah. Yep. You're welcome. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Opachi, Logan BTGT. 1 hour to warning. Yeah, sorry. I should post in different places when I'm going live, huh? That's all right. Okay, so we've got our inventory here now. And the question is, if I swap things around, does it still work? It does. Why is that working? Maybe I shouldn't be asking that question. I think it works because... Ooh, why is that working? That's almost a worse question than why... That's a worse question than why isn't it working? Why is it working? I think it's working because... Why is it working? Probably in here, right? Yeah. So the problem is that the drag and drop works between inventory grid components. So this basically allows, it just automatically accepts and swaps around the data. The problem is that, yeah, shoot. Shoot. Okay. So this can't be automatically accepted within this UI component because it needs to update the logical parts of it first. How am I doing that in the gun model manager? Let's see. Or let's look at my assembled gun ingot. Onslaught drag data dropped. I think I did this wrong. Okay, I think that's going to be the next culprit to tackle here. So again, violating that sort of idea that this inventory grid shouldn't be actually changing anything. So I don't want it to change anything at all. What I want it to do instead is just maybe forward this rune drag data so I can listen for it elsewhere. Source inventory grid, source inventory slot, source slot index. Shoot. Well, this is actually a little bit more complicated than I thought. Because I have no way of knowing which, like, logical thing is driving the grid between other grids. So in the case of the rune inventory that's over here, this is like your player inventory. That's separate. That's a separate logical driver. The logic behind it is different than the logic behind these inventories here. And so when I drag one over to the other, these things are agnostic of each other, but they share an inventory grid component or inventory grid component type. So that's kind of messing things up quite a bit. So what I probably need to do is I think I need the signals to be bidirectional. So here, on slot drag data dropped. So this is going to be called on the thing that is receiving. Let me think about this. It's going to be called on the thing that is receiving the dropped rune. So the inventory grid that is receiving the dropped rune is going to handle this. But I think what I need to do is I need to, in the source grid being the grid that the dragging rune was taken from, the source grid also needs to emit a signal that that a rune has been taken from it and dropped into another grid. And that needs to be purely a notification. It shouldn't change anything about the underlying grid structure. That needs to be left up to the logical backings behind the UI. Those are the source of truth. Those are the things that maintain the order of the runes. Those are the things that maintain the inventory size. And the UI is just purely just saying input and output. This rune wants to move here. This rune wants to move here. These runes got swapped. But the UI shouldn't actually do any of the swapping. All the logic needs to flow through either that player rune inventory manager or through those gun model managers here. Now you could be asking, why don't you just make those the same component? Because I'm in that annoying situation where the way that gun rune inventories need to be handled is different enough from the way that the player rune inventory is being handled that merging them together would actually create more of a spaghetti mess. So we're just in one of those situations where this problem is just really annoying. But it's solvable, everything's possible, so let's go ahead and do this. So slot drag data dropped, so I think I am going to modify this. So slot drag data dropped. Man. Okay. Rune drag data. We're just going to... Sorry, I'm just thinking about how I want this to work. I think I can just emit the drag data dropped twice. That's just wrong. I think where I'm getting into trouble here is passing this inventory slot by reference. So I'm going to do this. Source gun part affix. The problem with passing that around by reference is that if I update the data that's associated with an inventory slot there, and then I go and pass along the rune drag data to something else, it's going to be out of date. So that's going to be a problem. But luckily I can just do this. Source gun part affix there. So the things I'm passing around by reference are the underlying data and not the reference to the inventory slot directly. So that should help. And then in here, what are we doing? What are we doing? Source inventory gun part affix is equal to gun part affix. Okay, that's working much nicer. So that's gonna solve a big problem that I was having in my little brain. So destination affix, source affix, right. Destination slot, source inventory grid. What the heck? What is going on? So the destination affix is right. Okay, let's do this. Let's rename this to get rid of these. These things are confusing me. To drop affix. Is coming from this is going to be better named as existing affix here. Then the source affix is that. Cool. Okay. So I've got the existing affix, the source affix. Var existing index is equal to inventory slot.get index. We'll pass this here. Existing index. Or maybe I should call it target affix. Yeah, maybe that's better. Target affix and target index. And then we've got source affix and var source index is equal to rune drag data dot source slot index. Okay. Okay. So we want to emit the slot drag data dropped with this rune drag data here. Right? Oh, this is target index. And then rune drag data dot source inventory grid dot emit signal name dot slot drag data drop. So I'm just going to emit this signal again, but this is going to be the source index. And I'm going to do new rune drag data source affix is equal to source affix, right? Because the drag data target affix, wait a minute. Yeah, this needs to be target affix. This is so confusing. Source gun slot index is equal to, or source inventory index, target index, and then the source inventory grid is equal to this. So now it's bidirectional. Where's my source affix at? Oh, I guess I don't need that then. Source index, so emit signal. So is this right? Wait a minute. So inventory slot. Yeah, the target is the thing that's receiving the drop. And the source is where it's coming from. So what I want to emit is that this rune data was dragged on top of this target index, which is coming from the target grid. So that's correct. And then I want to go to the other grid from which the thing was grabbed, emit that slot, so it's as if I swapped them, right? So I dragged one rune onto one slot and then took that slot and dragged it onto the other one. So it's a swap essentially but I'm trying to do that within the context of using the same signal so I don't have a bunch of branching logic. It would be nice if I could just emit, hey, some data was dropped into the grid, and then that's gonna work, right? Source index. So it's being dropped onto the source index of the source grid with the rune data saying that the source grid is now the target. Yeah. I think that'll work. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But now this slot drag ended. Oops, I changed the wrong thing. Slot drag data dropped. Okay. So now I gotta address this here. Anyway, the map design in Godot is kind of upsetting. I want to do a perfect rectangle. It looks messed up. Interesting. Did you change the tile map some way to have like a skew or something on accident? That shouldn't be the case. Developing games has taught me a lot of coding. Is it a good way to learn coding, not just for games? Or is it only useful for game-related code? Your channel is awesome and authentic. Good job. Thank you. I think it is a good way to learn coding. That's the way that I learned coding primarily, is just tinkering with making games. And that ultimately led me into making websites. And then, you know, it was off to the races from there. I think programming, programming is programming. So wherever you learn it is going to be useful. There's all kinds of gateways into like a more professional field of doing programming. So yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's perfectly good. And like I was saying earlier, I think that there are a lot of things in game development specifically that are actually going to challenge your coding skills more so than a job would do. I mean, a job does challenge you, but in different ways. But in terms of like raw thinking logically and applying math and doing algorithms, game development is going to give you a lot more exposure to that kind of challenge than like a traditional job would. What is the name of the plugin you use in VS Code to search the variable name? It looks useful. I am not using any plugins for searching. I'm just I'm using the built-in VS Code search. Like if you do Control-Shift-F, that brings up the search all, and then you can just type in here, and that will open across all your files. You can also do regular expression search, which is useful sometimes. Yeah, no plugins, just built-in VS Code search functionality. Okay. On slot drag data dropped, slot index, then in here rune drag data. So now I got to figure out what to do with that updated information here. Just got around to playing through the demo and left some feedback the other day. Yeah, I've probably seen it if you left it a couple days ago. I've been checking the forum and just reading the new feedback. I don't know which one is you specifically, but I have gotten a lot of good feedback recently, so thank you. I appreciate that. Lots of good changes coming. Right now, I mean, part of the reason that this refactor is happening is to help the system wherein the guns are going to be made more interesting. Give the player a little bit more interesting choices. So this refactor is part of that effort. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break to get a refill on my drink and whatnot. So, but when I come back, we're going to have to handle this updated drag data signal, which I think is going to be fine. But yeah, it's going to be maybe fine, but yeah, we're going to have to figure it out. Actually, wait a minute. Yeah, I'll come back and think about it. I'm getting confused already. So I'll come back and think about it, but it's going to be a quick 2-minute break. In the meantime, I would appreciate it if you could check out the links in the description below. That will tell you all the ways that you can support my work if you're interested in doing so. Even something as simple as liking this video and subscribing to the channel is a great way to help out. So I'll be right back in just 2 minutes, and then I will be back to interact with you all and to continue on implementing this drag and drop stuff. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm gonna leave these headphones off. It's actually getting quite hot in here, which I don't understand because it's... Oh, I guess it is warming up. It was like 20 degrees earlier today, but now it's 35 apparently, so that's nice. Anyway, so yeah, this slot drag data dropped. Okay, so I was thinking about it, and I think this is actually going to be relatively simple. What I need to do is my slot index. Wait, let me go back here. I think. Okay. Here's the other cat. They all want a piece of me today. Okay, so where am I at? I'm kind of losing my place here. Where am I at? Player gun manager. Nope. I was in... Am I losing my mind? Where was that? Oh, here. Yeah, in assembled gun ingot. Okay. Goodness. So the information that's coming through here are source inventory grid, source gun part affix, source slot index. So basically what I want to say is at the slot index that is coming in here, I want to place the source gun part affix. So affix at slot, assembled gun stats, inventory grid, get affix at slot. Is that right? No, that's not right. I want to do... Oh, this is not going to be good either. Oh no. I think I get rid of this. Then I take this rune drag data here. Dot source gun part affix. Yeah. Add affix to slot. Source gun part affix. Okay. Right. I think that's right. And I only need to handle the one side of this because it's going to be the responsibility of whatever else is driving to handle the other side. So I actually want to just try this minimal solution. It's not going to work if I drag between the player rune inventory and the gun rune inventory, but it will work, I think, if I drag between the two gun rune inventories because they're essentially being driven by the same object, and that object now is properly handling this on-slot drag data dropped. So if my hunch is correct, I should be able to freely drag and drop runes between those things, and they should be updating appropriately. I think. I hope. Please. Alright, let's see. Cow. Bubble cap. Okay, so these stats are not updating correctly, but let's put unload. Oh, this is not going to work, is it? Oh, it did. Okay, it just didn't remove it. Okay, so now if I do this, if I drag this unload from here to there, they swapped, but then it added things to the grid. So it's adding runes. So it's thinking that both of those got removed and need to be added back to the rune inventory. And that's because this is happening in here, because it's detecting a removed affix. So it's detecting a removed affix, and it's just, I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do is I'll keep that because that's useful. Is that useful? Yes, I think that's useful. What I'm going to do instead is I'll just create a different method. Public void set or force set affix at slot. That's going to be a little bit clearer in terms of what it's doing here, meaning that like a force set is just going to ignore any affix that gets overwritten. What are you doing? So I'm going to just copy and paste some of this. This first part is necessary. This part is not necessary. This part is not necessary. And that part's not necessary. So this is just a stripped down version. But basically this is just going to ignore, again, the affix that might have gotten overwritten, which is fine for the drag and drop case because I'm assuming that the opposite end of the drag and drop operation is going to be handled. Why am I so blue? It's going to be handled, so I don't need to worry about what happens to that removed rune. I'm just going to assume that the other side is going to handle it. So now if I go to my assembled gun ingot, I'm going to say force set affix at slot like so. And now let's give that a try. We're getting there. Incremental progress here. The big thing is that these inventories are now flowing through managers, which maintain all the logic for these things. And hopefully that's going to help. So let's put that there. Oops. Put that there. Let's put poison here. So now if I swap these around, hey, look at that, it worked. So now I can swap between these two slots. I should also be able to, well, let me see, oops. I want to see if I can do empty slots now. I should be able to do empty slots, but I just want to make sure that that's going to work properly. So that, and then that over there, put that there, bloop, 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 bloop. All right, sound effects and everything. So that's working. Unfortunately, I have no way of testing if these runes are actually being updated, but I tested that earlier, so it should be fine. So yeah. 1 second here. Okay, I'm back. You have summoned my cat too. Welcome, Corzo's cat. Good to have you. What is your cat's name? Hello, Hadakal. What is this game about? All right, let's see if I can remember the elevator pitch here. Gunforged is a goofy fantasy roguelite shooter where you create broken builds every run. So basically, it's if you've played Brotato, it's kind of like that formula where a bunch of enemies spawn during the wave, and your job is to construct these guns, which is the UI that I'm working on now. This is not representative of the game. There's not a black screen in the real game, but anyway, and you construct your guns, and the whole goal is to try to get really powerful guns with really powerful runes, which modify your gun behavior, and get to the end of the waves and fight the bosses and all that stuff. So if that sounds fun to you, you can actually play the demo, Hatikal. It's on the Steam page, and the link is in the description below. So I would appreciate it if you check it out and wishlist it if you think it's something you might enjoy. Her name is Momo. Well, there you go. That's actually funny that the first cat I showed you, her nickname is Mimi, so it's very close. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah. If it sounds interesting, yeah, check it out. There are some problems with the current demo, like gameplay wise, but do know that I'm addressing those. That's actually why I'm doing this work right now, is to address some of those problems. So, Okay, so I've got the guns swapping between each other. The problem now is getting these to swap correctly. And why isn't that working? Because I need to handle that here as well. Now that should be a simple... Is this just going to be a copy-paste job? Inventory grid. So if I go here, what do you want, cat? Onslaught drag data dropped. So I don't want the gun model. I want the rune inventory manager. So unfortunately, I'm probably just going to need to do this again. If rune inventory manager equals null, rune inventory manager dot set affix. How do I do this? I may not even need to do this to do here. Add affix at slot. Affix is rune drag data dot source gun part affix. And the slot index is slot index. Why doesn't that work? Oh, forgot my semicolon. All right, let's see if that works. Taking things very slow. Hello, Samurai. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you again. Is it going to be free? No, it is not. It's going to be paid. It's going to be paid with microtransactions. No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say that. That's a joke. But it's going to have a cost, a one-time cost. No microtransactions. That was a joke. Okay. So what do I want to try? Well, can I swap these around? Ooh, I can. Look at that. So I can swap those around. That's good. So that's working. Very good, very good. Let's go ahead and add a rune slot here. Can I drag this over? Dang it, I got an error. Ah. Right. I need to make sure that that affix is not null, which I'm just going to copy paste. Okay. All right, let's try this again. I'm hoping that's the reason why it broke, but it seems like maybe it's not going to work. So if I go ahead and add this, add the push. Ooh, it does work. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Can I swap these through? Yes, I shouldn't be able to drag onto these ones because these are innate. I'm not yet marking these as innate, but these first three are going to come from your gun parts. So these are going to be locked. You can still read them, but you can't swap them around. But I can swap those. I can't swap that, can't swap that. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so now the next thing to do is this rune inventory needs to change its size dynamically. Let me think about it. So because this rune inventory over here can overflow, so if you see up here, oh, that's not updating either. So that needs to be fixed. Why is that not updating? Why isn't that updating? Probably because I'm not resetting the flattened inventory. Yeah. Flattened inventory is equal to affix inventory dot where x is not equal to null. I'm gonna get rid of that to do. I don't think I need to do that to do. Okay. I'm glad it won't be free because you are putting in some crazy work and I want to support you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Have you ever tried Unreal? Yes, but it was many, many years ago, and I wouldn't even say that I have any sort of basic experience in it, so I wouldn't be able to give a good judgment in terms of like what I think of it or anything like that. Unfortunately. Let's go. Yeah, it's looking good. So there's a bunch of problems here still, but it's coming along. So if I put this here, put that there, put that here. So that number is changing up there. So this 4 out of 2 means I'm too overfilled on what I have, like what I can do. But that number is updating now, so that's great. And now I'm 2 out of 2. Perfect. Okay. Whew. Okay, so this rune inventory needs to change because it's dynamic, so it needs to always be, it needs to always at least have one empty slot. So that's going to be the tricky thing. But before I do that, what I want to do is I should probably test this a little bit first before I start getting these, fixing these things around the edges here. Okay, so get. It's coming along, it's getting there. So let's actually play like a couple waves here and see if this actually works. Come at me, rats. One of the things that I need to change based on the feedback is to make the initial waves a little bit more monster dense. So it's a little bit more fun. Didn't even realize it's been an hour and a half. I've been here from the start. Is it really going by that quickly? I mean, it goes by quickly for me, that's for sure. All right, let's just for the fun of it take glass cannon, and then let's see. So I've got no runes here, that's fine. Add rune, does that work? Oh, I need the rune ID. Add rune magma. There we go, so now I've got this rune. So let's see. First of all, I didn't even check if this works. So if I do that, I think that's 3 stacks of poison. That sounds reasonable. Actually, why did I add magma? Add rune. What's a very obvious rune? What's a very obvious rune? Pierce? Or is it bullet pierce? Did I spell pierce wrong? No, I didn't. Okay. So I put that cow udder there. That changes that. First bullet of a full magazine deals 500% extra damage. That's definitely high damage right there. So that's working great. Just want to make sure that in addition to being visually correct, it's actually logically correct as well. So that's right. And then if I add this bullet pierce here, boom, there it goes. Excellent. Okay, so this is working great. And if I do the same over here and I just shift this over, that bullet pierce should go away, and then this should now have lightning and pierce. Yes. Look at that. It's working beautifully. And then I should be able to just drag this over and put that back. And now I shouldn't have pierce on either of my guns. Excellent. Okay, perfect, perfect. So all of that is synchronizing really well, which is the goal. So now the big thing is just to get this inventory to work correctly. That's working perfectly. All right. That is much better. That is just much more sensible. I like this new rune display. I do need to aggregate all the rune text because it's nice to see how the runes combine together. So for instance, instead of seeing adds 1 poison stack, adds 1 poison stack, I want to have just something here you can hover over that will just say it adds 2 poison stacks, right? Like it combines all the runes together that are related to each other. Maybe there's a visual way I can show that as well, but I'm not entirely sure. But it's looking good. It's looking good. All right, let's just, for the fun of it, let's put that there. For the fun of it, let's just go ahead and do another wave. Went by so quick, I guess, and just to enjoy your streams. Yeah. Gosh, watching you play the game is making me excited to play this. Well, good. I'm so ready to get this game out into the wild. It still needs a little bit more time to cook, but it's almost here. It's almost here. But thank you, I appreciate it. Turn RP. Bloated, combustion. Bloated is fine. So now I can get the case where I have 2 rune slots. And then I can drag this here. And yeah. Excellent. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's working great. Oh, what's this? Ooh, what's this? Game UI Forge inventory grid. Gunforged UI. I mean, I should fix that right now before I forget. Okay, I'm just gonna close everything. Start from scratch here. Why was that happening? Object disposed. So get children? I'm guessing it has something to do with this inventory updated. Oh, I'm gonna have to figure out why that's happening. Object disposed. Why would it be object disposed? Object disposed. Game UI Forge inventory grid. Scrollable inventory grid. Oh, there's a clue. I don't know why that's happening. 31. Is it this object that's disposed? Maybe it doesn't like that. Maybe it doesn't like that. Although I thought this should be automatically disconnected when this scrollable inventory grid gets disconnected. So I don't know why that's happening. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Yeah, the Rune Inventory Manager on inventory updated. I guess it must not like this format here. So I'm gonna try something. I didn't want to do this, but I think I'm just gonna have to do it. Callable.from on inventory updated like so. Update inventory. Oh, I do need that though, still. On inventory updated. We're gonna get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of this. I didn't want to have to reference this multiple times, but I guess I will. I think that's gonna fix the issue. I think there's something weird about that callable there. Okay, I'm gonna assume that's fixed. I'm not gonna really necessarily test it because I want to get this other part of the player Rune Inventory Manager working, which is that I need its capacity to be extended by 1. So add affix at next empty slot. I need to resize it. Oh man, this is a beauty here. I need to resize it after an affix is added every time. So let's do this. Let's do this. Private void. Pad inventory by 1. And what this means is if the array, let me think. If the array is full, it needs to have at least 1 empty slot. So null count is equal to affix inventory dot where x is equal to null dot count. If null count is equal to 0, then what we need to do is we need to say affix inventory is equal to affix inventory. I guess I could resize. Would resizing be quicker or no? I don't know if it matters. Null. Inventory updated. So if I remove excess affixes, affix inventory, this, I want to do, anytime I change the affix inventory, I needed to call pad inventory by 1. So, I mean, this is kind of, maybe I should write some unified functions for manipulating this inventory rather than doing this all over the place, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this real quick. Pad inventory by 1. Okay, so basically anywhere the affix inventory is reassigned, I just need to call pad inventory by 1. That one's fine. Current inventory size. That's fine. It only needs to be padded by 1 if it's full. So yeah, okay. And if there are no empty slots, which is represented by null, then it's going to temporarily increase that size. And then what should happen is that when remove excess affixes gets called, which is at the end of the wave manager here, it's going to remove the excess affixes, flatten the inventory again. Yes, okay. All right, hopefully that works. Let's run this and see if that works. Okay. Hi, are you the one person on the team, or do you delegate some stuff to outsource? It's just me. I do hire a contractor for music because I am not a musician. I can't really do the music myself. So I'm buying music on a track by track basis, which means I actually still have to get 2 more music tracks. So that's something I'll do, but otherwise, yeah, entirely solo here. But that takes so much time to handle everything as one person: art, animations, game design, sound design, marketing, and development. Yes, you are right, Sir He. It takes a massive amount of time. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say have a team, but it's another thing to have the $100,000 plus that you need to hire a team. And I don't have that money, so... let's see. Very risky at the same time. I think I would disagree. It's not risky because I'm not putting a bunch of financial assets on the line beyond what's just needed for me to live. If I was hiring people all the time to do stuff, the risk is actually greater because then I'll burn through my savings quicker and potentially still not make money. So the cost is actually much greater in that case. And I don't think it's necessarily the case that hiring people makes you more likely to succeed. I think succeeding as a solo dev is mostly a function of keeping your scope in check and doing something that you are fully within your capabilities to do. But that's my opinion. We will see how it goes. You can do all at the same time. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I don't even know if teams necessarily make like an ideal team, sure, but what happens if you hire somebody that's actually not that good? Then it's like, you might as well do it yourself, right? I don't think it's as simple as more people equals better. Anyway, let's see. So, what am I trying? Oh yeah, so you can see that this is... Wait, why is that extending? That has 2 empty spots now? Why does it have 2 empty spots? Oh, it's not... Oh, it needs to... Oh. It also needs to trim. What are you doing? It also needs to trim this inventory when it does have null slots. So maybe I need to redo this. Dynamically resize inventory. If null count equals 0, so if null count equals 0, then I want to add a slot, which is fine, because that works, I think, if I immediately start it up, right? Does that work if I immediately start it up? Let's see. Yes, so I've got 1 extra spot there. The problem comes when I do that. Why does that happen? It must think that this is still occupied by the time it calls that pad by 1. So it pads it by 1, but then this gets deleted and it calls pad by 1 again, and it doesn't add another slot. So yeah, so that's the thing. So yes, okay, all right, okay. So I need to actually either pad the inventory by 1 or remove slots from the end. based on what's going on. What are you doing, cat? What are you doing? Oh my gosh. You're right for sure about not good enough team players burning in savings. I'm trying now to do some stuff with the novices in the team, but most likely I'll change my mind. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's every situation is different, but I have to save my money, spend it on only myself. Your cat is so cute, OMG, thank you. He's a good boy. What are you doing? Okay, so how am I going to, I basically need to trim off the end nulls if there are end nulls. So if the null count is greater than 0 and, so if the null count is greater than 0, then any nulls that appear at the end of the array need to be removed. There's a fancy way to do this with the range operator, if I can figure it out. So I think what I want to do is I is equal to affix inventory.length minus 1. So we'll start at the end. I is greater than or equal to 0. Or I is greater than or equal to current inventory size, because I don't want to remove the empty inventory slots necessarily. Yeah. And then I minus minus. So var first ending null index equals -1. If affix inventory I is equal to null, first ending null index equals I, else break. If first ending null index is greater than -1, then what's going to happen is I am going to resize the array. Affix inventory is equal to affix inventory start from the end of the array. Is that how I do it? Nope, obviously not. Cannot implicitly convert. Does this evaluate to... Oh, that just selects. How do I select a range? Oh wait, can I just do 0 to first ending null index? Yeah, that should work, right? Oh, but wait. But I want to keep the padding that I added at the end, so I don't want to... Oh wait, no. I don't think that's going to work, because if I have one null index at the end of the array, then it's just going to cut it off, right? So I need to, if null count is greater than 1, I don't want the null count to be 0. I want this null, if null count is greater than 1. If it's greater than 1, then we want to trim it up, I think. I don't know. Right. Yes. 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 Okay. I have no clue if that's going to work. If you had an option to get one perfect team player, who would you hire? Game designer, artist, or even developer? If dropped the point about money. I don't know enough about who is out there as a game designer or artist or developer to have on the team. I don't, that's not something I put a lot of thought into. I mean, I would... Honestly, probably I'd just, in terms of like a developer, I'd reach out to somebody that I personally know that I've worked with quite a bit I don't know if he has any interest in game development, but that would probably be the first person I reach out to, because I know him and I know the quality of his work. But if I was going to have a small team, I probably wouldn't need developers, depending on the size of the game. Yeah, it's not something. It's an interesting question. It's not something I've thought much about though. But I would probably go to the people that I know personally first, and then from there I would start reaching out to people in the community. Like I've got a number of artists that follow this stream, so maybe I'd talk to them. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I feel like solo or indie games feel more alive and less about if this will make money or not, but more about you can actually enjoy making and adding things that you like. IDK, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think you still... So I still have to make sure that the game can make money, so some decisions have to be made so that the game makes money, but there's certainly less pressure, right? Because if Gunforged makes... I hope it makes more than this, but if it makes like $10,000 or $20,000, that's a lot of money for a solo developer. It's going to make a huge difference in terms of what my budget looks like for the next, 6 months to a year. But, obviously if a company that hires teams of people only makes $20,000 in a game release, that's like terrible, right? So there's less pressure to make lots and lots of money, which means that I think you do have a little bit more freedom to say, yeah, the game would make more money if I did this, but I'm going to choose not to do that because I don't want that. Whereas, yeah, in a bigger situation, you probably have to do the things that make money. It's just a guess, though. Again, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Gunforged is my first real attempt to make good money from a game, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, making it by yourself is a good thing to do. Yeah, I think that's right, Sir He. I think that's right. I have my side income comes from the Udemy courses, and that's what's basically sustaining my budget right now. It's not technically sustaining. I'm still running a tiny deficit, but you all buying the courses and everything is what's allowing me to do this. But my hope is that I can add finished commercial games as another income stream to get out of that deficit, and then I can make games indefinitely, and that would be great. So yeah. Anyway, so if I do this... No, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why is it doing that? So it thinks... Let's see. Okay. When I move it over here, maybe I should step through this. Actually, I'm not going to put a breakpoint there just yet, but let's go ahead and step through it. See what happens. Okay, so what was I doing? Do this here. Okay, now let's put a breakpoint in here. And let's do it. Okay, null count. Let's take a look. Okay. Okay, so the null count is 0. Why is it 0? Which means it's going to add, but then it's going again, and it's saying null count is 2. So null count is 0, it goes ahead and adds 1. Then it says null count is 1. So that's because of this, this here, Rune Inventory Manager. So onslaught, so this is what, so this is being fired twice when I drag and drop. And I think that must be what's happening. I wonder if it would be as simple as... So if let me think about this. This is a little bit tricky. So if I move this over, it says the null count is 0. Why would the null count be 0? I think what it's happening, I wish I could see this window. Okay, that'll work. So what's happening here, oh, now you can't see my cursor. Basically, I think what's happening is that at this intermediate stage, it thinks that the entire inventory is full because only one of the signals has been handled yet. So remember, it's handling 2 signals in here. And the reason is because the inventory grid, it emits a signal for the drag data dropped, but then it emits a signal again for the other grid, for the source grid. But the problem is that if these are the same grid, then there's an intermediate state when this gets emitted, but before this gets emitted, where the old rune still exists in the old slot. And that's what's happening here. So at this stage, it actually thinks that the inventory is full because it's only halfway through the process of updating the grid. Now the problem is that because it thinks that it's full, it's going ahead and adding an affix inventory item here. Now the thing is that's interesting is that if I go to the next execution, it actually thinks that there's 2 nulls. And I don't know why. I don't know why it thinks there's 2 nulls now. Null count is 2. Why would the null count be 2? Why would the null count be 2? Why would the null count be 2? I don't know why that would be 2. Maybe I should put a breakpoint here. Okay, so source gun part affix, that's fine. This is poison. Slot index is 4. Null count is 0, which makes sense. This source gun part affix is null. Oh, I see. I see. So the slot index is 5. Is that correct? So, yes. So that's the 4th index there. So it's putting the poison in the 4th index. It's putting null in the 5th index. Poison in the 4th index, null in the 5th index. But if that's the case, then what is going on? Affix inventory, it has 5 and 6. Oh, because, oh, wait. So when the inventory was full, it added a null slot, but then it set a null slot. Oh, I see. I need this to be the 2nd ending null index. Right? Wait a minute. Yeah, so, okay, so on the first thing, yeah, so that's what's happening. So the first iteration, it's correctly extending the inventory by 1 slot. So that adds that 6th element in the array there. But then the 5th element, which used to be the poison, is getting correctly set to null, but now I'm left with 2 nulls. And instead of preserving the first ending null index, okay, so I think this logic is just wrong. I think is this inclusive then? This first ending null index? So do I need to go to the first ending null index plus 1? So that it's exclusive of that last index? I think that's it. I think it's working. It just was a function of how the range works there. So, okay, I think I've figured it out. So let's see if that works. Thank goodness for debugging tools. There's probably 2 nulls because they added empty slot and the empty slot that was already there. Yeah, I think you got it. Turn RP. I think that was exactly right. You think it's a problem for someone who only knows how to program to start in Godot directly through C#? I would have some more trouble creating things. I don't think so. If you already know C#, then you can definitely use Godot with C#. The documentation is pretty straightforward on how to do that. And the Godot APIs are very translatable over to C#. It's really easy to even just read GDScript code and translate it over once you got a good handle on the engine. So yeah, I don't think you'll have a problem with it, honestly. I would encourage you to try it out. I mean, what does it cost you to try it out? Nothing, right? Like, maybe just give it a shot and see if it's jiving with you. And if you want to go deeper, you can consider looking at my C# course for Godot that I have in the description below. But I would encourage you to test it out first and see if you think you'll enjoy it. And then, like I said, if you want to go deeper, then you can maybe consider getting my course. There's also some good YouTube tutorials on C#, but there is a kind of like a dearth of C# tutorial content for Godot, unfortunately. So now, why is it doing that? You're not supposed to add an empty slot if there's already a null slot. What are you doing? Oh, wait. Did I just screw this up? Wait a minute. Did I screw this up? Count is greater than 0. If the null count is greater than 1... Oh, goodness. This is going to drive me absolutely bonkers, isn't it? It should not be adding an extra slot. So this change doesn't fix it. I gotta go fix something real quick. I hope you fix that bug. I'll be back. All right. I gotta get this bug fixed. So that's right. It's just when I move it over that it's wrong. So I think it's just like an order of operations issue. I don't know how to solve this. I think it's just, I'm just playing whack-a-mole with it at the moment. So I need to figure out maybe a different way of handling this. I mean, I could do this in a deferred fashion. But I don't know exactly how I'd make that work. Maybe I'll put this back. Put that back and step through it again. Because I'm not entirely clear on why that's happening now. So let's see. Launch scene. Here we go. Okay. So it's going to add poison at slot index 5, which is correct. The null count here is 0, so it's going to add another... Yeah, I guess that's the problem. Okay, so then it's going to set null at slot index 4, which is correct. It's going to go here. It's going to say the null count is 2. Okay, if the null count is greater than 1... The first ending null index is 6. Which is good. Now, wait a minute. Yeah, so that's why it's excluding that number 6 index there. Is it just as simple as changing this null count to... I think I'm just missing some information here, aren't I? Because what I'm not doing is I'm not really indicating whether the null is somewhere in the middle of the array or if it's at the end. But all I'm doing is trying to remove nulls from the end. So I don't think that's going to work. I need to know where the null is. But I guess that's why I use greater than 1. Because if the null count is greater than 1, then it either is because there's 2 nulls at the end, or there's a null in the middle and a null at the end. In which case it should remove. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was right initially. This is why I'm using greater than 1 instead of greater than 0. Because if it's greater than 1, then I'm going to need to remove things from the end. But that doesn't work. It obviously doesn't work. If I do that, that's fine. It doesn't expand, right? But then if I move it back, it deletes that one. It's quite a stumper. Doesn't help that I'm very tired because I've been doing this for hours today. But I'm determined to get this bug fixed. Okay. Poison is being added at slot index 5. Cool. That means that we should have no nulls. So it's going to add. Then it's going to set null at index 4. The null count is going to end up being 2 because the affix inventory has a null there, which is correct, and a null there, which is also correct. And then it's going to get all the way down here. First ending null index. So then reassign the affix inventory. I should have a null there. Right, and then I move it back. It's going to set 4 to poison. Null count is 0. Why is the null count 0? Because we've got poison in 2 places. So then it goes ahead and adds a null to the affix inventory. Okay. Then we're going to set null at index 5. The null count is 2 as expected because they're both at the end. I see. So if they're both at the end... Yeah, I guess I do need to know. Yeah, so my assumption was wrong. I do need to know if the null appears in the middle or at the end. So we've got the null count here, first ending null index. What if I did something like nulls encountered? Let's do end nulls encountered. End nulls encountered is equal to affix inventory.length minus first ending null index. if end nulls encountered equals if the number of nulls that are at the end of the array is equal to the number of nulls in the array, then that means we need to leave one null in place. This is probably a really hacky way of doing it, but... So we're going to dynamically change that offset. So it's either going to chop off the end nulls or it's going to leave one end null there, depending on what was encountered here. So I think that might work. I don't know. We'll see. It's possible my math was wrong again, but that's fine. Boom, 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 boom. Look at that. It's beautiful. And now let's just make sure that if I put this here and I drag this over here, it removes that slot. Perfect. So yeah, the goal is to always have one empty slot so I can move things around like this, but also so that I can take things off the guns like that and put it in my inventory. And then I also have a new slot that I can drag it onto, right? So that was a lot of work just to get that working, but I think it's finally good. So let's see. Put that over there. That removes that extra one. Was that correct? Yeah. So it just removes any, it always just keeps one slot open. Then I can put that there. That's correct. Put this here, put this there. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Look at that. Perfect. It's working good. All right. That's great. That's really good. Whew, that was quite a bug. That was quite a bug. See, this is what you get in game dev that you don't necessarily get in regular old software engineering. And all of this is much cleaner now. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that I still need to do with that UI, but I'm tired and I've been working at this pretty much, well, not all day, but a very good chunk of the day. So add dynamically resizing player rune inventory. All right, so this is just in a much better spot generally though. So, but that'll be it for the stream tonight. Thank you for joining me on this impromptu Saturday stream. Sorry, turn RP if you're not back yet, but it is time to go to bed. Well, it's not bedtime, but you know what I mean. But anyway, again, if you guys are interested, please check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways you can support me. The best way to financially support me right now is to purchase one of my Udemy courses. I've got GDScript and C# available, so if you want to do a deep dive into how to make a complete game into Godot, you can check those out. Otherwise, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can sign up for my email newsletter at firebelly.com. And my regular streaming schedule is shaping up to be Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're interested, you can join me then as well. Maybe I'll do another impromptu stream tomorrow night. Who knows? We'll see. But thank you all for being here. I very much appreciate all of your support and all of your interaction. And even to the lurkers out there, thank you for watching. I very much appreciate it. And I hope to see you all in the next stream. So have a good night, and I'll see you next time.